We've created a robotic defender that players can practice against.
The entire game is about leverage, and the more eyes you have on you, that means more dollars. You get to call the shots.
Panel just wrapped up. Noah did a great job as expected, hosting some great panelists. The audience was great turnout. Man, what a night. Happy to be a part of it. Can't wait for the next one.
Who's actually building this? I think a lot of athlete entrepreneurs, they talk to an investor and they say like, okay, well, who's actually building this?
And so I'm really hoping there are a lot of resources dedicated to these athletes to teach them how to handle their money, how to invest their money, how they can diversify their portfolio.
What is the motivation now of up-and-coming athletes? Is it to make a lot of money in college, or is it to go pro?
Woo! Exhausted. That panel was fire. Everyone stayed the whole time. Thank you, Brex and Headline, once again for hosting us. That was amazing. If you want us to come to your city, let us know. We can do this. We can execute at a high level. We want to do this at the highest level. This is the way. A&A. Let's go.
So let's get right into it. Let's skip the small talk, as we say on the podcast. There's this question that athlete founders get asked all the time, and I sometimes become a therapist when athletes come to me and say like, the question is, so who's actually building this? Who's actually building this? I think a lot of athlete entrepreneurs, and especially ones that raise capital, they talk to an investor and they say like, okay, well, who's actually building this? Matty Ice, building a hedge fund while being an NBA player. Can you kick us off here and maybe tell us about someone who's building this moment, and how do you respond to handle someone questioning, are you really serious about this? Because you are.
No, for sure. I always started off by saying, if I didn't make the NBA, I would be another guy in New York City wearing a suit and tie to work every day, going to work for a hedge fund in New York. I'm from New York. I went to Notre Dame. I graduated from Vanderbilt. So that's kind of the world that I would definitely be in if I wasn't playing basketball. Fortunately, my career is ongoing, and I'm going to play till my knees fall off, literally. But when people ask me, hey, who's actually doing it? I'm glad they asked that, because they know that I won't be managing capital. That's not what I'm trained to do. That's not what I'm qualified to do. And I think a big part of excelling as an athlete at the highest level, and I'm sure in business at the highest level, is knowing your role and knowing what you're good at and accepting your role, and also having an understanding of what your role isn't. The biggest thing that I've learned over the past few months in raising capital for the first time is complete transparency wins, and allowing people to feel like you are telling them the full truth, and as much of the truth as you can. And so building a hedge fund in New York, what does that entail? Well, I'm raising the capital, but who's actually going to be controlling people's wealth and building it? That's not me. That's a team in New York that has been doing it for 30 years and will continue to do it at a high level. And so, the big thing for me is, I always wanted to be successful in whatever I, participated in. And so if I could start a hedge fund or whatever I start in the future, and allow teammates that I have, formerly current, a network that I've built over the past few years, if I can allow those people to participate as well, and kind of contribute in the fruits of the labor, that's something I want to do. I couldn't make it alone, and I don't want to continue growing alone. I want to bring as many people as I can with me. I think that's a huge point of emphasis for me, and when I'm talking to people about what I'm doing is, let's do this together. I don't want to be a generic hedge fund in New York that, the people that have equity in it, you never talk to the people involved, you don't know what's going on. No, let's do it differently. And I think athletes relate to that a lot. Athletes want to be involved. They want to know the direction that the ship is headed, and they want to know what's going on. So everybody that I speak to, whether it's the first conversation, last conversation I've had with investors, is letting them know who is involved in the hedge fund in New York, and introducing them to the people that are going to be doing the heavy lifting once the initial capital raise is over with.
Yeah, Leslie, there's BFC, there's Household Beauty. I'll let you take either one. Take either one. I know you have some amazing insights to share there. But when was the who's really building this moment for you? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so when I was playing professionally in Boston, one of our owners was a venture capitalist for Highland Capital, who's my mentor to this day, if any of you know Highland Capital. And I got exposed to venture capital, and I was just in awe of like what he did. And I knew that at that point that I was meant to start a company. And I got so enthralled in his world. And my teammates and I started a company called Sweat Cosmetics. It's now rebranded to Hustle Beauty. And it's a product made for athletes, for women who live an active lifestyle. And let me tell you, being a professional athlete, trying to raise money, we raised our first seed round very easily with friends and family, but our first, our seed A, we went to a lot of VCs here in the Bay Area, LA, and 4 white girls with blonde hair, athletes, stand in front of a lot of male VCs. And I don't know if that question was necessarily asked, but I think that looking around the room, it was almost as if the confidence of us 4 being athletes, knowing that we've succeeded at the highest level possible, knowing we've done more shit than these VCs looking at us, knowing the confidence of, we might not know what we're doing, but we have the ability to have teamwork. We are goal setting. We work our butts off. We will find a way to be successful. That gave us confidence. But let me tell you, and I kind of feel what you're saying, both of these companies have been with teammates. I don't know if I would have been able to get up there by myself. It's a very intimidating room to be in. But I go always back to being an athlete and the skill set that sports taught me, and the confidence going through all these tough journeys and obstacles have brought me to that moment where I am confident. And even if you're not gonna believe in me and you're not gonna believe me, at some point someone will believe in us. And you keep on going and you keep pushing. That's what you do. And when the route's taking you this way, you might have to pivot and go back another way. And I think Hustle Beauty and Sweat Cosmetics really prepared me for Bay FC. Because all those learning opportunities and experiences I had in front of VCs pitching and deck after deck, call after call, it led me to this experience with Bay FC. And again, 4 women, that's funny, I have 4 founders, co-founders in both. But I think that no one really asked us that exact question.
Sure.
Because the credibility behind us 4 was there in terms of a soccer experience, but we made sure from the start that we brought in people that made up our weaknesses. And a lot of our early investors became part of our team, part of our advisory, part of our board, and really made up for all of the areas that us 4 were not strong in. And I think that that's what really gave and resonated with our early investors and VCs. Actually, Sixth Street Capital is our main investor. It's the first PE money that our league has ever received. And so that was a big moment for us to go to Sixth Street Capital and pitch to them. And I remember, and I know I'm going long, no, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
One thing that Alan Waxman, the CEO of Sixth Street, said is I just don't get it. In men's sports, if we have the same resources and same capital being injected in women's sports, wouldn't it be as successful? And we all looked at each other you said it, And for him and Sixth Street, it was that to know that we had the credibility from the soccer experience, but with them and their business and the fact that they're owners in the Spurs and Barcelona, Real Madrid, that partnership would be the sweet sauce, and that's where Bay FC came to life. But there'll be more on Bay FC later.
Yeah, no doubt. Matt, you have a story or quick anecdote you want to share? Is there something that strikes you there?
With what Leslie said, or just the story?
Essentially, you're building in this space where hardware, AI meet. You're still playing professional basketball. Has there ever been a time where someone prompts you with something like that?
Oh yeah, I mean, for me, and I'm gonna do my best to be brief, but for me, I'm still playing, just like Matt is, and a lot of my teammates, and talking to them about what I'm building, they love the concept, they think it's a great idea, but there's skepticism because I'm one of their peers, and it's who's running the company. So, with the skepticism that I've faced, I've been really fortunate to have 2 incredible business partners. I'm not the CEO, I'm the founder. I have the vision for the product and how it works, but I've got a guy with a tech and programming background who built a multi-million-dollar company, and then I've got a guy who's got a great network in basketball who runs the day-to-day operations. So that's been great for me in handling that skepticism.
Right, your foundation's there. Labib, I don't know if you have anything to add there, you know, if you want to pitch in or...
Yeah, I mean, I think a big part of it is that if you have the background and the domain expertise, and especially from sports, you learn leadership, you know how to build a vision, you know how to bring on people to believe in that vision. So for me, I'm super blessed to have a stacked team of people from, you know, ex-NVIDIA, ex-NASA, people working on their PhD, you know, in New York, and they believe in the vision, and if you show them that you're going to give 110% for every 100% they give, it's easy to get there.
Yeah, clearly there's a parallel of finding the right teammates for what you're building. Makes the domain expertise, know what you're good at. This next question is kind of tied to the last question, but it's how do you tangibly handle adversity? And I'm not about this like, you know, when you're down, get back up again, rah, rah, rah. Like I'll give you guys an example of how we handle adversity at ANA. So a lot of what I do is talk to high level athletes about coming on the podcast. Well, life happens and guests flake. So, you know, we have this big guest that's lined up. We're gonna have a show that airs Thursday, and the guest flakes. All right, how do you handle that adversity? That's our products, our content essentially. Well, we have stuff. That's why we keep content stored and ship out other stuff in case guest flakes. That's how I specifically handle this particular piece of adversity. Labib, I'll bounce it back to you. How do you handle adversity in building your company? Is there a tangible way you say, okay, this ain't working, so here's how we're gonna handle it?
Yeah, so I'm a pretty like objective type of person. I think that comes from, you know, just doing sports or growing up. Like, if you get emotional about it, like that's how you're gonna get knocked out or submitted. So you gotta be very objective. So for me personally, like whatever's going wrong, I like to quantify it, figure out why it's going wrong, and like break it down into micro details. Because once you do that, that kind of alleviates the anxiety of like, why is this happening? And you know, fix it from point 1, point 2, point 3, whatever. So next time when it happens again, or you think that might go wrong again, you're able to mitigate that risk.
No doubt. Leslie, do you want to tackle that?
Yeah, I think control what you can control. I think it took me a while to learn that, but there's controllables and there's things you just can't, and you got to focus on what you can control. And so when things don't go your way, go back to the things you can control. And my mentor had always told me to have a list of priorities. Don't just check things off to check off, but check off the things that are the highest priority. And so for me, when things didn't go a certain way, I go back to that list and I try to control what I can and work off that list.
Awesome. Mooney, you want to tackle?
Yeah, I think what they said is perfect. Agree with what both of they said. For me, we had a period where we were struggling to raise money to lead up to an event to unveil our alpha prototype last summer, and you know, we had to adjust. You know, a lot of the people that we were reaching out to were people that I knew from Lubbock, Texas. And in Lubbock, Texas, anybody ever been to Lubbock, Texas? Okay, there we go. There we go.
There's way too many hands.
It's I like Lubbock. Okay, I love Lubbock, but they invest in real estate out there. And that's about it.
Oil and gas too.
Yes.
Handle.
Yes. Yeah. Good correction there. But we had to adjust because we were backing up against a deadline and we didn't have the investors. So I think it's similar to, you know, when we're competing in sports. If things aren't going my way, if I'm not hitting shots, I need to adjust. I need to impact the game in a different way. So just being willing to adjust.
Awesome. Matt?
If I'm not hitting shots, I get taken out.
Fair enough. All right.
Play some defense, man.
Yeah. That's not what I got paid for, brother.
All right, cool. So the next thing that I think you guys and athletes are uniquely positioned to accelerate at when they make this, you know, athlete to entrepreneur transition is the routine. Athletes have a routine, and I think as an early stage entrepreneur, part of what helps you get from 0 to 1 is the systems you have in place for yourself. So this question is not necessarily about the product you're building, it's about your routine as a person and how that makes you, you know, best suited to be a stellar entrepreneur. Matt, do you have a routine that, you know, you have your routine for basketball, obviously, but do you apply some of that to what you're doing for athletic?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, honestly, I'm not a very good athlete, so I'm not very athletic, all right, compared to some of the guys I'm going up against. So for me, it was, I got to get in extra work. I got to get there early. I got to take care of my body. I can't be eating fast food. I got to get enough sleep. stay after. So I apply that same routine to the business, to athletic. You know, it's a process. It's every day. You know, when I was in Italy, I'd go to practice in the morning. I'd come home and I'd be on the phone with my business partners, with investors, customers, potential customers, till about 10, 11 at night, typically. And I spent a little time with my fiance. We have dinner together and give her some time. But it's just a grind, you know. It's a grind in basketball and it's a grind in business.
Labib, what's your routine look like that maybe you took from MMA?
I feel like my routine is not healthy, so people like don't listen to me. I'm an early stage founder. You know, we raised 1 round so far pre-seed, so you got to stress that dollar and keep working hard. For me, it's wake up and first thing I do is I look at my phone. I don't go meditate and do it. No. I wake up. First thing I do is open up Slack. I got a coffee or Red Bull ready to go. After those Slack messages are taken care of, I go to practice. Go get some rolls in, some rounds in, maybe go over some technique. Once I come back, it's like, you know, all hands meetings or I'm pitching. And then I have like my individual work for the rest of the day. And then around 11, 12 p.m., I'll get my strength session in, come back and the endorphins are going. And then we'll hit bed around 3 or 4 in the morning. But I think at this stage, like, you got to push. So there's no time for the R&R yet. That's just my perspective. And I would say most of the athletes on here are like, you know, from really like it's more traditional, right? In MMA, like, you don't want to hear about our routines. It's not healthy. It's not a healthy sport.
Good to know. We appreciate it. Matt?
Red Bull right away.
You can ask Noah what I drink every day at the office.
Jesus.
Like a Ghost Energy is ready.
Not something I would
C4
drink.
or something.
No, yeah, I would get kicked out of the facility if I brought that in there. The only person that drinks the Red Bull is the equipment manager to get going and dealing with us. But
You got to pick up those bags.
he does. Deal with a whole bunch of other stuff. But you know, I'm not going to go through my daily routine. I truly believe if you don't know how to manage your time, you know, at this point, come on, guys. But you know, from what I've learned, you know, I'm 27 years old. I've been playing basketball for 20 years now. You know, I know that when you can allocate a certain amount of your time every day towards something, you're going to get better at it. And the same has gone for me in talking to investors, and talking to my team about what we're trying to build and where we're trying to go. And that, you know, the building blocks of the small things you do every day, it's very generic, but it's very true. You know, habits translate, and good habits can take you a long way. I can't stress that enough. You know, waking up, no, I don't do the, you know, daily confirmations of, you know, sun, please bless me, or whatever people do. I do ice bath and sauna though. That's definitely good for the body. But
Good stuff.
you know, during my season, it's like a 6 or 7 month season. I'm on a tight schedule. You know, I don't. The free time I have, you know, I have tried to do as many investor calls, as much FaceTiming with family and loved ones as possible. But at the end of the day, prioritizing what you want to get done. You know, energy goes where your focus is. So having priorities, having a schedule. I've definitely learned in this investor world that you have to plan these calls, you know, a few weeks ahead of time. I guess people are on calls all day, every day. So, you know, figuring out, 2:30, you know, 3.5 weeks from now, I guess that's the only half hour that people have to talk about something. So, you know, I guess people are that busy taking calls. I've had to learn how to, you know, kind of, you know, as an athlete, you get so much done for you, especially as an NBA player. You know, everybody's catering to your every need. So, I don't know, configuring, you know, parts of my schedule to fit others is definitely an adjustment. But yeah, Leslie?
Yeah, here's Mike for a sec.
Yeah, thanks for letting me end on that one. No, but I think, real talk, I think it's really hard as a professional athlete or even a college athlete, and some of you might be in this room going through this. It's really hard to go from being a college athlete to the real world, or being a professional athlete and then going to get your first real job. Being an athlete for so long, especially at the level I played at, I had a schedule every day. And it was blocked out, booked out from 7 a.m. to 10 o'clock at night, with getting hydrated tests, speed tests, breakfast, strength training, 2 workouts, 3 workouts. I'm being told what to eat, when to recover, and where I'm traveling, where I'm going for the whole year. And then all of a sudden you retire and you start a company, and all of a sudden now you're like, where's the blue book? Where's the handbook, right? And so I think that adjustment is real. And so for any of you in there that's experiencing that, I know Max, you a soccer player in here, started his own company, you're probably experiencing something like this. It's hard, right? No one's telling you what to do. So if you don't have that structure and schedule in place already, it can be hard. And I think that that's where I wish that I would have leaned in, asked for more help, because I think I struggled with all of a sudden going, it's now up to me. And when you don't know sometimes where to start, it's a hard process to go through, being a founder and starting a company and going from being a professional athlete to doing that. So that's the real side of it, I think.
Yeah, very thoughtful response there. This next question is for specifically Labib and Leslie, because I think they do a really good job at this. The past couple years, I realized, we've realized in 8A for enough conversations that athletes, probably the thing that they're most uniquely positioned to accelerate on when they start becoming a founder is completing what we call like the athlete flywheel. So you have the audience, the brand value, the distribution naturally as an athlete. As the better you play, the more people follow you on Instagram and Twitter, you start to build a following. And then a lot of athletes create their own businesses, and the smart ones do a great job of funneling all the fans, all the people they built into the product they're building. You may have heard a guy named Greg Eisenberg talk about ACP, Audience Community Product, where you have this audience, you have a product, and you have a lot of people that can help iterate on the product. You can help refine it. You're making content. You have a natural top of funnel where you can funnel users into your product. Labib and Leslie do, whether they realize it or not, do a really good job at this. Leslie, I'll start off with you. What you do on Instagram, I think, is tremendous for BAFC, sort of documenting the games, documenting your life. You don't even realize it, how much fanfare and how much people see BAFC through your lens. Can you talk about the conscious effort you've made to really promote the content, through your eyes? I know you have folks helping you with your Instagram. This is a concerted effort.
Yeah. So when I played, we didn't have really Instagram. So I have a smaller social media following than a lot of my former teammates who continue to play. They have hundreds of thousands of followers. I have a small following. I don't even 35,000. So it's small. But I do think what I've done a good job of is these brands, BAFC, Hustle, are part of my lifestyle. They're part of who I am. And I think that connection between the fan and the brand is so important. And since I'm a founder, I have probably more passion than 99% of the people out there, but I'm letting people in, and they're seeing, up close and personals with players that are, I have a player babysitting for me right now at the house with the girls, so I'm sure she'll be on my Instagram later. I'm showing them behind the scenes of their new locker rooms we just built out. I'm showing the fans game day outfits and all of our new merch that we have and new shoes that are, out, and just trying to incorporate it into my life is very natural because it's so much part of my day. And I think the connection and what I hear is just how much people feel connected to BAFC through me and my family. And it's a fun way, I think, and people get invested in it, and then they get to meet these players, and it can be life-changing. So I think that what I've done is just taken my companies and I've kind of funneled them into mine, and it becomes more natural because it's just part of my daily life, and it's my lifestyle. So it feels very organic because it's truly what I'm doing all day, every day. Yeah, absolutely.
Labib, I have come to you so many times to talk about content, and I think Kayyo is one of Kayyo's superpowers, its ability to leverage distribution. If you look at all their accounts online, the following, the people that tune into their content, the creativity they use, it's really your sword. It's really been your weapon. Can you speak on how you think about content?
Yeah, I think content and distribution is something you got to think about day one. Even in my athletic career, before I even started fighting, I was making YouTube videos at my house, and then eventually for a company as on-screen talent. And it's because I knew the entire game is about leverage, and the more eyes you have on you, that means more dollars, and that equals, you get to call the shots. So when it was time for Kayyo, I knew that, hey, I'm not a technical founder. I might not have the most connections in Silicon Valley, but one thing I know how to do is I know how to get eyes. So from day one, we made sure that every single thing an MMA fan or possible practitioner watches, they're going to be in our ecosystem, whether that's news, memes, training videos, whatever it is, like we're going to be the first thing on their head. And by doing that, we've been able to hit all different types of ICPs, figure out who is our initial customer, which way are we building, getting user feedback, and now by creating this ecosystem in Flywheel, every single user we have has been downloaded organically. Like we have zero acquisition costs, and monthly we're bringing in like 50 million impressions a month just by a small team of 2-3 people posting.
Yeah, so you consciously were like, look, we need people for Kayyo posting.
Yeah,
like this is a role. This isn't just me on the side.
This is a very important role because like I get like product and all that stuff. That's awesome. You need it, but like if no one's using it, why did you build it in the first place?
Yeah.
People got to see it.
Yeah.
Awesome. So the next thing I definitely want to cover is, and don't fall asleep, but we're going to talk about goals, goal setting. But I would like to rephrase it. It's more, what systems are you putting in place? Like what, how do you think about milestones, achieving your milestones? A lot of tech founders, there's sprints, right? You build, ship something at the end of the week, you learn about it, you do it again. For you guys, and I'll start with you, Matt, like, Ryan, for Willow Lake, how do you think about, like, you don't have to talk about the specific goals, because I'll ask you that in the next question, but how do you think about, like, going through, milestones you want to hit? How do you think about that?
I think having a plan is always important, because otherwise, like, everything that you'd be doing every day, it wouldn't be towards something, right? So, when my partner and I, when we put our plan in place of what we wanted Willow Lake to be, like what we were, deadlines, certain milestones that we wanted to reach, benchmark numbers that we want to hit within the first few years, and even longer term goals than that. I do think all that's important. But again, it kind of goes back to embracing the process of what it is. If you want to be great in anything, it's embracing the process.
Let me add on to that question. Do you use, like, what's a tool you use? Nothing. Like
No.
Notion, Google Calendar, a journal?
No.
Okay.
And, no, I don't use any of that. I truly believe goals are inherently a part of you. If you've been thinking about them long enough and working towards them, I don't need to look at a whiteboard every morning to know what I'm working towards. I know exactly what I'm working towards, both on the court and off the court. I had at the end of every season, we have exit meetings, right? But with a coach, with your front office. I spoke with my coach a couple of days ago, and the question I got was, what do you plan on working on this summer? What are your goals? And I didn't even have to think about it. I knew right away that this summer would be the same as every summer that I've had since I started playing basketball. The goal was to be better, and I would treat every single day working out as if the next season was going to be the biggest season of my life, like it could possibly be the last season I ever played basketball. So what would I do to be ready? And that's exactly the approach I'm taking towards raising money for something, the same approach I take towards things that I want to invest in. But again, every single opportunity you get, every person that you can meet, you never know which one is going to be that golden one. For me, in my basketball journey, it came 3 years ago. I had finished my, I'm sorry to keep talking, but I had finished my college basketball career, and that's when COVID hit. So what happened? I didn't get a pre-draft process. I didn't get looked at by any NBA teams. I had to go home to New York for a year and a half without playing organized basketball. What did I do during that year and a half? I worked out 8 hours a day. For a few months of it, I drove DoorDash. For a few months of it, I worked at a cemetery. During all those hard days, I kept the goals in mind. Again, I didn't have a whiteboard. I knew exactly what I wanted. I didn't know when or if I would achieve them, but I was going to do everything I could to make that happen. It's the same message I give to potential investors in my hedge fund. It's the same message I give towards any coach or teammate that asks me what my motivations are, or how I set my goals, or how hard I work towards achieving them. It's treating every single day like it's an opportunity to get better. That way, when your opportunity comes, you're overly prepared. And it's I described it a couple years ago as a sense of fear of not being prepared or ready for an opportunity. And I just never want to be, presented with the opportunity that I've been waiting for, but I was not prepared for it. And so, I'm taking that approach to all of my whiteboard goals, as some people use, or Notion or Google Calendar, whatever floats your boat. But
yeah,
so when you've been thinking about something your whole life and working towards it, I don't have to write it down.
We're a lot different, brother. I'll tell you that. I write my goals down. I use a lot of stuff. I gotta see it visually. Not knocking that. That was deep. That was awesome. I'm gonna leave it now open to you three. Do you guys use a tool to help you, track milestones, like tangible stuff? Like, do you use a software? Do you write it down? Like, the open-ended here.
It's called my notebook, my journal. Yeah, I mean, I write it down and, yeah, exactly. Yeah, something like that. I'd actually look up Notion because I was like, I think I've heard of that, but no, that's maybe my old school personality. But a little bit like him, I think that I always know what I'm going for, and it's the daily motivation, I think. But it's also a good, I think, reminder for me what I'm shooting for, and I always like to look and make sure that I accomplish that goal, and I'm continuing to push myself.
I have like the macro goal in my head that I don't have to write down anywhere.
Sure.
But a big thing for me is like open up Apple Notes and like what are the top 3 things that I need to nail like this month as they transform month over month. But that's pretty much it. No Notion or any of that fun stuff.
Yeah, for me, I have a notebook too, like Leslie, and I got to
Want to show it off real quick?
It's not the
Little show
nicest
and tell.
notebook you've ever seen. It's I go through them, a lot of them, but just to write down, what needs to be done and what needs to be done in the short term and the long term. But yeah, I use Google Calendar. I lose track of meetings and calls. We use Jira. I don't know if you guys.
What's Jira? Talk to me about. I don't know what Jira is.
Jira, it's a website. I'm not a tech guy. Does anybody here use Jira? Yeah, so it just helps us keep on task. My team keep on task, and you put tasks into Jira, and it alerts your team members on what needs to be done, what's been done, what's ongoing.
Oh, super cool. That's awesome. So for me, I really hope if you guys hear one thing today, please listen to what I'm about to say. Go on Amazon, please purchase the 5-minute journal. It's a gratitude journal that, basically asks you 3 set of questions that take you 5 minutes to fill out. I promise you, this has changed my life. Essentially, it asks you every day in the morning, you have to write 2 things you're grateful for. What would make today great in your daily affirmation? I agree that the macro goals, you don't need to write that down. But every day I write down, I'm about to get it. Like I'm gonna write down a specific goal for that day, something I'm gonna accomplish. At night, there's 2 questions of like, what did I learn today? And I've done this every day for the past 180 days, and I've seen my life kind of go like this. I really encourage you guys to go on Amazon and buy the 5-minute gratitude journal. It helps with, obviously gratitude, but goal setting and milestones in your life. Super cheap, same day shipping. I would really get that. It's like I'm sponsored by them or something. Big fan of it.
What's the affiliate link? Yeah.
Hashtag ANA. We'll do that. Quick hitter here, and then we'll go to Q&A. Where do you see your company in 5 years? Quick hitter. We'll go down the line.
Okay, 5 years from now, we plan to be in every NBA. 90% of NBA gyms. NBA is a copycat league. Majority of Power Fives. There's 70 Power Five universities, and then in 50+ training facilities like Shoot 360 and facilities that have 500 members monthly. And then we'll be able to sell a cheaper version that will unleash to high school AAU programs, smaller colleges, and then after that will be consumer. But the thing that I'm really excited about with what we're doing is it easily translates to other sports. So, for instance, our robotic defender, it contests player shots. That easily translates to volleyball, to football, quarterbacks, kickers, punters, and then the AI transfers to all sports, where you're able to analyze the mechanics of a quarterback or a tennis player or even a soccer player. Soccer's the biggest. I just came from Europe. It's the biggest market in the world. To assess a player's mechanics in any sport, and to be able to help them improve upon those mechanics in that form, which no companies are doing. Most of them are assessing the result, giving data on the result, not on the process. So that's 5 years from now where we plan to be.
Labib, what you got 5 years from now? Call it out.
5 years from now, in terms of numbers, there's like many ways we could go, but 5 years from now, I like to visualize, and I just want to visualize our logo in the center of the octagon for the UFC. That's it.
Love it.
Again, yeah, I would prefer not to focus on the numbers either. I think 5 years from now, you know, hopefully the market's going up and the hedge fund's doing well. But I would say from the very beginning, when I started talking to, you know, my team about it and potential investors, I would get asked the question, what's going to be different about, you know, Matt's hedge fund than, you know, I can go to any other one in New York or wherever, and I could put my money there. A big thing that I say, and I think it has to do because I'm around a bunch of guys that like to do this as well, is giving back to communities and kind of bettering the area in which we all are. You know, I've stressed to the team that I have that along the way, this isn't going to be solely focused on making money and not doing anything for the community. I'm from New York, and I love basketball, so what can I do? You know, I can't wait to start building courts in New York City and then expanding that, starting a foundation, figuring out what we could do philanthropy-wise, you know, not only in this country, but hopefully in other countries, you know, down the line. And, you know, I would say, you know, not just a 5-year plan, but a longer-term plan would hopefully be, you know, part owning or fully owning an NBA team. My partners have other goals as well about, you know, owning sports teams. So, you know, there's definitely a lot of goals. You know, to put a number on, you know, where we're going to be in 5 years. You know, I hope it's to the moon, right? Like, you know, I would hope that. But again, you can't control that. What you can't control is, you know, the positive impact that you have on others, and that's exactly what I want to do.
Love it. Love it. For BFC, I hope we're selling out PayPal every game, and that we have to move to a bigger stadium because it's too small for us. I hope we are an iconic global sports brand, just in line with the Yankees and Barcelona. That's our goal, and that's what we're trending for. And, you know, teams right now are being valued for 200 million plus, and I hope 5 to 10 years from now we're at that $1 billion mark.
Beautiful.
Amazing. Before we give them a big round of applause, let's actually just dive in to some good Q&A. We good on timing, Michelle? Are we all good? All right, so I think we have a mic, and oh, cool. All right, we're gonna use my mic. Matt, got a question? Yeah.
Hi, thank you, everybody. My name is Matt. A couple Matts up here. It's awesome. I'm really big on community. You guys touched on that a little bit. I direct community operations for a recreational sports tech startup here in San Francisco. We're in 15 different cities right now. We're growing. Very exciting time to be in this space. I wanted to ask my question. Oh, we're getting louder. I want to ask Leslie, as more women's pro sports organizations are being established with BFC, and then also last weekend I was at the Valkyries launch event, which was awesome. I wanted to ask you kind of what's been the community feedback and support that you've seen. I've been seeing a lot of positive stuff just online, and I haven't been able to make it to a game, but I really want to. And then also, like, are there any things or partnerships or programming that you're doing to help kind of build that community? Because obviously it's a new team, and there's not as much history. Obviously there's sports history here in the Bay Area, but are you doing anything specifically in the future to help build that community faster? And what can we look forward to?
Yeah, please come out to a game. I guarantee you will have an incredible experience. We do not have a winning record at the moment, and it doesn't matter. Everybody is coming back for more because of the moment you walk into that stadium, the feeling that you have, the merch, everyone's in merch, the product on the field, the amazing fans. It's diverse, it's inclusive. It's special, so I encourage you to come. We just got some scores back on our board call yesterday about customer feedback, and it's been incredible, and we're very, very proud of that. I think that is our why and why we wanted to start this. And for the community piece, absolutely. If we don't build and embed in our community, we won't have a successful team here. And we started this journey 4 years ago, and we've been working 4 years ago to now on trying to bring BFC to the community, to the 9 counties, to the 9 bridges, to be able to really include everybody. And it's a very hard thing to do, but we've been working very, very hard We've done an incredible amount of community appearances, donations, events. We're doing them all the time. Our players are very active. If anybody wants to reach out to BayFC, we are trying to do as much as we can. And you will see BayFC in a lot of different places. Boys and Girls Club, Positive Coaching Alliance, we're everywhere. And it's a truly one of the two reasons why we started this team. One, to be player-centric, and two, to build this amazing community base where everyone feels like they're part of BayFC.
Hi, I'm Cash. So as professional athletes, I'm sure you guys have faced your fair share of ups and downs, which is part of startup life. How do you guys look at, like on the professional field, like destiny was kind of in your hands, it's based on how well you guys perform, whether you have a good day or not, versus in startup world, it's a lot also about like the market dynamics, or how VCs are treating you, whether this is a emerging market or not. So like, how do you guys take that into account when you guys are building your companies?
One of the things I always try to focus on, whether it's athletics or now startups, it's there's only things that you can control, and then there's things that you can't control, right? And don't get caught up in the micro results, like really focus on the macro. So this means just like repeating on the inputs. You know what work you have to put in, whether it's like getting more users or impressing an investor or whatever. When numbers go up, everyone wants to talk to you. So keep doing your thing on the daily, and then I like thinking that if you become the gravity, work so hard that you become the gravity of the world, and things come to you.
Hi, my name is Josh. So I'm an investor and actually board member of an esports team in Korea. And we've been trying to innovate a lot. So we're actually the first team to have one of our active players as a part owner of the team. We're also the first team to work with Netflix and releasing a Netflix show on one of our players. And we're just always trying to innovate. And one of the things we're actually working on right now is trying to help build a brand with one of our active players while he's a player. So this is something that, the sports team has done before, but the thing that we're thinking about as like the executives is, what can we provide to the player? How can we best provide the best resources so that we can continue to grow his brand and grow him as a businessman while he's a player as well? And since you guys have been both a player and also in a business now, what kind of resources do you think are the most helpful for the organizations to give, and what would you like to see the future organizations do to kind of continue to empower the athletes and have them be just more than a player but also be a businessman too?
I would just say, because I spend so much time on Instagram and watching teams, how they build the brands of players, and man, if you don't have someone full-time on Instagram figuring out the best trends, how to captivate an audience within 3 seconds of a short-form video, like you need to be scientific with that and apply it to your players. Scientific. It's no different than building a tech product. How you post like a tech product, you ship something, and after that week you evaluate how people liked it. You should ship a bunch of content about a player, 6-7 days, evaluate what time your audience is actually tuning into the video, like how many impressions, followers, like these metrics. If you treat it like as science and your source of truth, I think from that perspective definitely can help build the brands of athletes. So that's my little nugget there, but I'll let you guys.
And I just have something little to add. One of my good friends growing up was Donovan Mitchell. We're both from New York, and I remember during his rookie year, he was a lottery pick, went to Utah, but wasn't very known. Wasn't very, he wasn't considered one of the best players out of the draft. But one thing that he made a killing on his rookie year and has continued to capitalize on is his timing of posts. Just his rookie year in Utah, he was playing with Rudy Gobert, Mike Conley. They had a very competitive team. What he was so good at was like he was getting these highlights, or he would dunk on somebody or have a good game. The moment the buzzer sounded, I would open up my phone, and on Twitter or his Instagram was the photo of him like dunking on somebody or hitting a big three. So anytime that he had a lot of, when you're watching a sporting event, you go on Twitter, millions of people are talking about it. He would capitalize on that. And so that's just one thing that I would, give for you guys for advice. You guys want to, kind of highlight one player and help him out, help him grow his, platform and, create business opportunities for him. I know Donovan helped himself a lot his rookie year by just putting out content of himself when his name was being talked about.
One more thing real quick. It would, I would just say, to really figure out what he needs, you know, and talking to him. Like I was in Italy, and you know, something I really appreciated that my team did is they knew about the business that I was working on, and they liked that I had that balance in my life, and they asked me what I needed and tried to connect me with a group of, you know, an AI group there in Italy in the town to learn about what I was doing and see if they could help me, and with some, you know, angel investors or early investors to see if they had interest in investing. So I really appreciated that.
Any other questions?
First of all, like, thank you so much for coming here and sharing your experience. That's deeply moving. You all shared a journey where there was either a fundraising or a company formation. What was like some of the core pivotal movement that maybe was painful and anxious, but that sowed a seed for a deep pivot that kind of like, you know, took that inflection point? If that particular story is there, you know, I would love to hear it. Yeah.
Just quickly, I would say that I haven't had one of those moments of business, but I have had just countless of those in sports and in life. I finally signed a solid deal for a couple of years with a team. I've been waived multiple times. I've been on teams and didn't play, but you know, when you finally get that chance, you know, as long as you continue to stay ready, and you'll be able to perform when the time comes.
I mean, for us, when we first started, this is like about 2 years back, we were trying to use a different like modality to use for a product. We were thinking hardware. And at the time, we were only a couple months in, but you know, my CTO and all the engineering resources that go into building something, and then clearly seeing that, you know, this is not the thing that's going to, you know, gather adoption, and having to scrap that was tough for the team. But I think, you know, as founders, like, our main job is to make the best decision. That's it. You do that and you keep going forward, right? So once we made that decision and we saw how the new, I guess, like product or modality picked up steam, all that past work, you know, it was okay, because now it's making an inflection point.
One thing to add, for me, I think in my experience, I've had to learn to be more humble. And you know, the idea that I had initially just started as simply a robotic defender contesting shots. And it was, you know, learning and talking to, you know, players and coaches about what they really want, what's really actually going to help players improve, because that's how we're going to make money. And, you know, we had to pivot to not only contest shots, but, you know, build out this AI and this software that's capable of actually helping players improve their jump shot. You know, the contest will help to a limited extent, but so I think it's just, yeah, it was just being humble and having a mindset of you can always learn.
A couple more questions. What do you think, Michelle?
So you have been successful athletes and are becoming successful entrepreneurs. Is it possible to say which one brings you more personal fulfillment?
So the question, if you guys didn't hear, he said, you know, the success you've had as athletes, entrepreneurs, which one gives you the most fulfillment? Is it being an athlete? Is it building a company? Is that your correct? Okay.
I'll start because I'm retired, and I know we've got 2 active athletes. Words can't really describe the feeling of playing for your country, playing in World Cups, Olympics. So those moments are the best moments of my life and memories, playing youth soccer, the highs and lows, everything. I'll take it all in again and again, because it was worth every moment, for every sacrifice my parents did for me to be able to get to that point. So I thought that would be the highest, like the most remarkable work that I could do. And so when you retire for me at 31 years old, it was like, now what? And I can tell you that after Bay FC and at our home opener about a month and a half ago, we had 18,000 people. I stood with my 3 founders. My little girls had walked out the players, and I just got tears in my eyes. And I said, this is the best work that I will ever do in my life. The last 4 years of creating this team has led me to this moment for millions of girls and boys to be able to dream big and go after their dreams. And I think that this work that I've done is actually more fulfilling than I did on a soccer field. And I didn't think that I would ever be able to say that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think there's different types of fulfillment maybe, or maybe like different types of joy. So I think competing, it's funny, me and Matt were talking about this at the office earlier. I think when you're competing and maybe like in a fight sport, it feels very different when you're able to overcome and like beat the other person, and like there's like this adrenaline that I don't think, nothing that I've done in life can deliver that, to be honest. That's why I think it's really hard for a lot of fighters to retire. But from a fulfillment perspective, my life's mission is to create a billion martial artists, because I think when that happens, the world will be tangibly a different place. So when I see the comments of people saying like, hey, I just started training because I've been getting bullied at school or whatever it may be, that's a different type of joy. And that changed my life when I was a kid coming up and starting. And I think if we're able to do that for so many people around the world, like, yeah, I would call that a successful life.
I could only hope to have that kind of perspective that Leslie has now that she's doing what she's doing. For me, currently though, I can't say that anything besides playing in the NBA would be as fulfilling. I picked up a basketball at 7 years old. I had the same dream from when I was 7 to still. I still go to sleep at night dreaming that I'm playing in the NBA. And when you can wake up and actually do it, there's just no feeling like it. I remember the first 15 games of this season was the first time in I've only been in the NBA for 3 years, so it was the first time thus far where I was playing a lot, and I described the feeling that I had like I was floating out there. It literally felt like I was floating on a cloud out there, just because I had been watching the NBA for so long, picturing myself out there, watching, the greats, as I said, they bless the court. And to go out there, I literally felt like I was floating on a cloud. I think what could bring me that same kind of feeling is kind of like what I said before about, the potential of, having a successful business is being able to have an impact far beyond just the business and far beyond just the balance sheets. Being able to have a true impact in other people's lives. I can see that one day having a profound effect on me. But being able to literally live my dreams right now, there's no feeling like it.
For me, I haven't achieved what I want to achieve from my business yet, and I really appreciate that question. It's a great question, but I think I will experience a very similar type of fulfillment because I'm going after a dream and I'm working really hard. And I had some amazing, I think they all can relate, and you guys can probably all relate too, is basketball has given me the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. And but the highest of highs, it's very fulfilling because you work so hard and you do it with people you love. And like my first NBA basket, I only have one, but my mom was there, my dad was there, my grandpa was there. And I can't really even put that into words, how awesome that was. So, yeah, thanks for the question.
Two more. These are great questions, yeah.
So, to be able to, achieve playing sports or anything at the highest level or being successful, requires you to have luck sometimes. So I'm just curious, what do you guys think you do differently than other people that puts you more in the path of luck or, creating these kind of big windows of opportunity?
Go ahead.
I can for sure say luck had a part of it. I said earlier when COVID hit and I was home in New York for a year and a half, towards the end of that summer I was gearing up, ready to go start my pro career in Australia. I was getting ready to go play. Super excited for it. Finally, a year and a half goes by, I'm about to play basketball again. I get a call randomly from the Cleveland Cavaliers, hey, we're looking for somebody for our summer league team. And I fell into that opportunity. And but again, that opportunity came and I was freaking ready. And I wasn't gonna let that opportunity go by without taking full advantage. So there's definitely an aspect of luck, but what's the saying when luck meets preparation?
When preparation means hard work, it means lucky. Yeah.
Or something like that. Yeah. So
something like that.
We'll figure it out.
be prepared for when the luck comes, basically, is the best way to put it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't think you got lucky. I was, not to, be controversial, but yeah, you make your own luck, and I think, he was prepared when the opportunity came, and, you either, if you fail to prepare, you're prepared to fail. So,
That's a good one too.
certainly, my dad said that to me so many times growing up. So yeah, I think you have some good fortune, but if he gets called by the Cavs and he doesn't play well, his opportunity's probably done. So that's what I believe.
I'll just say, regardless of what you're building, proper use of content can increase the surface area of your luck. Whether you're a media company or a boring B2B SaaS product. Now, social media is a double-edged sword. You can't be out here tweeting crazy stuff and expect folks like Headline to invest in you. But use it to your advantage. I think, there's people in this room more qualified to comment on this specifically. I go back and forth between building in public and then keeping some things reserved. But I do think there is an aspect of doing stuff in public to increase the surface area of your luck. So whatever you're building, if you have a little content strategy around it, I promise you'll start to get more opportunities. More people will talk to you. You'll get more investor meetings. Content is king for all industry. Now, for the older folks in the room, I know it's cringe sometimes, right? You didn't grow up with Instagram, but there's newsletters, there's Twitter, there's ways to make your name and increase that surface area. So that's my 2 cents there.